Hey guys, I normally edit out the loading screen, so I just wanted to let you guys know that there's nothing wrong with the audio on either of our ends. There's just no dialogue because this is from the Warcraft 3 demo, okay? Yeah, sorry about that loading screen bit. I just wanted people to not freak out if there wasn't any audio because it actually surprised me the first couple of times because I forgot about it. Anyway, last time on Thrall's adventures in Warcraft, we rescued Grom from the clutches of the humans, stole their ships, and came to an island in the middle of nowhere. But we're on our way to Kalimdor. By the way, I'm not going to be quiet for non-voice dialogue like this unless it's in an actual cutscene. There's just no point. The game itself does duck the audio though, like all the music, the unit dialogue, and everything. It made me freak out a couple of times. I messed up the audio and I restarted recording like 2 times because of it. But hey, we have trolls in the Horde again, despite the fact that Thrall was celebrating the fact that they weren't in there anymore just 2 missions ago. Anyway, in case you missed it, the humans are being dicks, so we have to kill them all. But first, it looks like the fountain of health near our base has been defiled by something underground, probably human sewage lines or something, and we need to find some ingredients to purify it. The first ingredient is guarded by a bunch of ogres up here. Like the ogres we fought in the last human mission, they have an ogre magi which can cast bloodlust, but unlike when we played as the humans, we have a little bit of a trump card. When we got the shaman a couple of episodes ago, I said purge was a little bit useless, and I didn't want to talk about it then because all it does is remove buffs. It actually slows the enemy a little bit too, and removes debuffs from your guys. Now that we're fighting things with buffs and debuffs that are actually a threat, it's an incredibly useful ability. By the way, I'm not going to make fancy unit cards for everything until the Orc campaign, partially because I'm not sure whether the stats we see in the demo campaign are the same as the ones in the final Reign of Chaos campaign. If you look at the minimap, the humans are about to pay us a visit. On most of my practice runs, I rushed back to defend it, but since I was building grunts, I decided to just let them deal with it until we got back home to save them. There are like 3 or 4 really amazing items on this map, and none of them are from mobs you think they'd be from. Like these Sasquatches, they drop a consumable item that buffs your units. There's a really good item, and it's just like hidden in a crate. It's kind of annoying, but I can't hate it too much because this is just a demo campaign. Item placement aside, this is a really well balanced map though. They send the enemy patrols at you at just the right rate to make it get progressively more difficult. I make it look a little easier than it is because I had to re-record this like 4 times, and so I'm kind of prescient as to what they're going to attack with when. But they can do a lot of damage if you're not expecting it, but they also don't do too much that's just frustrating like some of the later defense maps we'll see. Right there, I kept trying to build a tower until I remembered you actually need to build a lumber mill to build a tower. Oops. Now that we've fended off an attack, we have a little bit of time to go get the other item for this healing fountain, though, which will be good because we really need to heal our units. They're pretty low. Man, word travels really fast. We set sail straight for Kalimdor the second we stole those ships, and they already know. I mean, I guess we probably meandered a bit because we didn't know exactly where we were going, but still, I'm surprised I got word to this island that fast. It is interesting that the river appears to be burning over there. I think that's, like, supposed to be a gas vent, so it makes a little bit of sense, but, I really hope that's not pollution. Thrall can cast Feral Spirit, which is a very useful ability that summons 2 Spirit Wolves to tank for you or do damage, and trust me, they do a lot of damage at higher levels. It doesn't work too well against Lightning Lizards because they can cast some sort of Dispel ability or something of the sort that just mulches summoned units, but against most enemies, they can do a lot more damage than you'd think just a little summoned unit would. After this big guy goes down, we'll finally have all the items we need for our optional quest, and we can head back and heal our units up, and it looks like that grunt probably is going to need it. And here's what I'm talking about with item placement. That big lizard doesn't really drop anything. That box, Circlet of Nobility, hidden kind of in the out of the way. Not really descript, you'll probably never find it if you don't use map cheats to plan this out like I did. But it's a really good item, and it's one of the few, like, permanent items on this map. In case you're wondering, it increases all stats by 2, which is pretty amazing on a game that has such a low inventory limit and such low numbers. But hey, with those items, Senshin can send these humans to the void while he makes the fountain better. Yeah, we haven't really encountered it until now, but Warcraft 3 cutscenes take place in their own little void. This is also apparently my audition video for World of Warcraft Raid Boss, because I have a habit of attacking the footmen and killing them before I actually get to the healer, which would really be a good idea. In a couple of my failed recordings, I actually took a lot longer to kill that wave because the footmen got way farther in to the healing fountain, so the priests were healing them and the healing fountain was getting them, which basically made them invulnerable, and I couldn't quite get around to the priest, and it was just terrible. It took like 5 minutes. Back to the in-game cinematics, though, I really have to say that I like the camera work in them. I mean, I'm not a cinematographer, I don't know that much about, fancy camera work or whatever else, but I do have to say that compared to, like, BioWare, which does good cinematics, don't get me wrong, just, like, the limitations of this and the fact that they don't have overly descriptive faces means I have to rely on a lot more than just, like, shot reverse shot, which is a lot of what Mass Effect and Dragon Age does, and it gets boring, and I really like how they make up for that with the camera here. Also, second bullshit item, there's a bracer of agility in that crate, which increases your agility by a little bit. I'm not entirely sure how much off the top of my head. And finally, our third item, and it's not actually a bullshit one. It is dropped by enemies, so I guess it's dropped by weak enemies, so there's that. These golems really obsessively cast slow, though, so even though our shaman can't attack the golems because they do magic damage, they're really useful at just dispelling that. We finally got our Colossive Attack +3, though, which I think we saw in Arthas. It's a very good item. We're pretty decked out for, the first mission in a pseudo-tutorial campaign. Most of what we have left to do is killing a few creeps. I don't want to show too much of that because it can get kind of repetitive, so I think I'm just gonna go to the interesting parts. We did miss an item in the upper right here the first time around. It's a Tome of Agility. It's not too important. It's one of those bullshit things that's just hidden inside of something, like a lot of things on this map. These humans are really, really intent on chasing me, though. They actually get in range of the catapults I've been building. This priest actually kind of gets stuck there. I guess healing interrupted his AI or something, and now he's just dead. I'm waiting around because I know in like a few minutes or a few seconds we're due for a particularly nasty attack, and I don't want to risk venturing out because this one can really do damage to your base, and there it is. Yeah, this Archmage has Blizzard, which can really screw up your towers, especially if they're clustered. I kind of interrupt him because I have my main army here. But, yeah, that can get pretty nasty. We'll definitely see it in the future, I promise. Now that we fended off that attack, we have some time to get the last remaining item and then go take out their base. Our last item comes in this giant null camp, and it's actually dropped by a mob instead of a random building or a crate this time. He gives a Tome of Intelligence +2, which is +2 to Thrall's primary stat. Pretty good. Yeah, now that we have a bunch of these headhunters, our army is just kind of a murder machine at this point. You have to be a little careful with them because you can't actually build them on this map, you can only find them, but nothing can stand in our way at this point, especially not that we have 2 catapults and 4 raiders, which just mulch buildings. With Thrall beefed up from items and our army built up, I think it's time to take the fight down to the humans. What do you guys think? Loktar! I'll never do that again. I'm sorry. Since I'm sending them in first, I might as well talk about the raiders just for a second. Again, no unit cards or anything because I'm not sure if these stats are final in this map. But the raiders are extremely good at mulching buildings. They're not anti-unit units. You can use them in normal fights, but they're really meant for taking out buildings. It looks like we waited a little too long and their Archmage got back up before we could attack them, but I mean, our army is big. I think we have at least 1 level of upgrades. There's not much they can do to stop this. Especially not if you're actually paying attention and moving your units out of the Blizzard. Like, yeah, I'm confident enough that I even am willing to go back to base and start buying more upgrades while I'm doing this. The Archmage actually kind of gets himself trapped here, and the AI isn't smart enough to move its own priest, so we have him completely surrounded, and he's just freaking out trying to get out, and then we kill him and his horse. This does give us the opportunity to talk about something that I didn't really talk about in the last episode, though, because I don't really use it much. The humans can turn their peasants into militia, which are actually a very, very good unit. They don't have much health, but they actually have a bit more armor than footmen. You might ask, okay then, if they're actually a little bit stronger, then why don't you use them all the time? And the answer is it's on a timer. Like, you know, they can only be in there for a limited amount of time, and after that timer's run out, they're useless little peasants again. It's used a lot in competitive play, actually. I think they move a little bit faster, too, so you can build them up really quick and use them to get an early advantage. But, yeah, they're not better than footmen just because of that limitation. But all we have to do to complete the objective is destroy 3 of the major buildings in their base, and that is going to happen in short order. Oh, that wolf got a little excited. Next time, though, we're going to get back with the humans and maybe see what this whole undead business is about. It's probably just a rumor. Nothing to worry about. I'll see you guys then.
For the Horde!